kia ora, and welcome back to Breaking Waves. Welcome to Financial Fridays, where today is dedicated to sharing our experiences with money to help you make better decisions around your own personal financials. Today, we have a special guest, an accountant, a business owner, a loving father, and a son of Samoa, Peter Lee. How are you today, Peter?
Hey, Hana, thanks for having me on. Yeah, been great week. Tiring week, but yeah, super happy to be here and on your channel. So thanks for having me.
That's all good. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to have you here on the show because I know we've got some awesome things to talk about. How has your day been, and how's things with business?
Yeah, just recently introduced our baby girl. So this morning I think I was up.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was up about three in the morning, 5 in the morning, 7 in the morning. So yeah, feeling a little bit tired, but yeah, super excited about my business, being able to still do some work in between. So yeah, it's been she turns 3 weeks today, so yeah, been really excited.
Very new.
Very new. She's gorgeous, and my latest employee.
Yeah. It's gonna be very exciting for you. But thanks. I'm glad to know you're doing really well. Tell us a bit about yourself, your background. Where were you born, raised?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Samoan. I was born in Samoa a few decades ago, but I moved to New Zealand when I was quite young. I think I was 3 years old when I moved to New Zealand, so pretty much raised in New Zealand. So both my parents have a bit of Chinese on both sides. So my mum's an Ah Chong and my dad's a Lee, so I've got a bit of Chinese in me, like a lot of Samoans do. I have one sibling. Her name is Tisha Lee. She's a little bit younger than me, and yeah, we moved to New Zealand in the 80s, like a lot of Pacifica families, 70s and 80s, and yeah, the reason why we moved to New Zealand is my dad actually worked for Polynesian Airlines.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know if a lot of people, probably the younger years, don't know Polynesian Airlines, but that was the national carrier of Samoa back in the day. And he was transferred to New Zealand to open up the New Zealand branch, so open up the Auckland branch, which some of you remember was on Care Road. It was a long time in the Samoa House on Care Road, Polynesian. So yeah, we moved to New Zealand. My dad was brought over to help establish Polynesian Airlines. We first arrived, I think we landed and we moved to my auntie's flat in Avondale. So our first sort of flat was out west. And then I think we moved to Glendean for a little bit, and then we ended up settling in Henderson. So I spent most of my childhood in Henderson. Went to Pomaria Primary, Henderson Intermediate, and then Waitakere College. So yes, hung out with a lot of my island friends, loved playing rugby, loved playing cricket. But a lot of people don't know that I actually was better at cricket than rugby.
Oh, true. Yeah. You enjoyed it more? Or?
I enjoyed it more, and I think that's I got interested in a lot of subjects at school which were not the traditional island Pacific subjects. So I was really interested in maths, accounting and economics. So I ended up hanging around a lot of non-Pacifica kids.
I would argue that a lot of the Samoans do go down the maths and science field, but the ones in Samoa. Yeah. And you're born in Samoa anyway. So
yeah. So I ended up hanging around a lot of the non-Pacifica kids, and they all played cricket. And what's cricket? So I got involved in cricket at an early age. So yeah.
That's awesome. So what made you want to get into accounting and financial advisory and business?
Sure. My grandfather is an accountant. So he worked in Parnell for a shipping company for a long time as an accountant. So I got exposed to that sort of industry very early on when I was young. And my dad was also a sales and marketing manager. So the finance and the business world was pretty much ingrained in me from birth, having that around me. And then so growing up, I spent a lot of time with my granddad and my dad, and we always spoke about business and going into that field of finance. And so my first exposure to work was when my father started working at the Avondale flea markets way back in the days, and I think I was 7 or 8 when I started working at the markets. And that's when I got first exposed to money, getting up at 4 in the morning to go to work, working with customers,
Right.
working with stock, working with staff. So I got exposed to that very, very young in my childhood, and I think that sort of led me on to follow the footsteps of
Yeah.
my grandfather and my father. And so accounting wasn't my first choice of profession, even though it was close to me. I actually wanted to be a pilot for Polynesian Airlines because my dad had been in the airline industry. Unfortunately, when I started doing my training, I didn't get quite the full medical requirements back in those days. Back in the 90s and 80s, if you had problems with your eyesight or had asthma, it
Right.
was difficult to get a job as a pilot. So that's when it was decided, okay, we'll stick to the accounting and finance route. So that's how I got involved in the accounting and finance. It was really because of my granddad and my dad, but also my mum also worked for BNZ for a long, long time. So I had exposure to the
Right.
banking system, and I actually got a lot of work when I was studying at the bank as a bank teller. So I've always been surrounded by that industry of finance, business, accounting, banking, marketing, and sales.
Yeah.
And that's always pretty much been me since as long as I can remember.
That's awesome. That's really good to grow up in a good environment where you're exposed to those things early, so that as an adult you can make better choices around that stuff. But I wanted to bring you onto the show today because I know this is your background, and there's a lot of I guess people who want to leave their 9 to 5 jobs and get into business. And you've grown up in business and marketing, sales, like you said, since you were 7, and it's not always an easy thing to do.
No, definitely.
So what are some of the struggles that you often see with people who leave their 9 to 5 and then decide to start their own business?
Yeah, it's a really good question, really good topic. Thanks, Anna, for having me on, because I have reflected on 2023 with a lot of my clients and just seeing their struggles. Some of them are new businesses, some of them are established businesses. And yeah, I feel like it's 9 to 5 may be better for some of these clients, The reason why I say that is because when you start your own business, you're head of finance, you're head of sales, you're head of marketing, you're head of operations, you're head of HR. And so you actually have to invest a lot of time that you wouldn't otherwise in a 9 to 5 job. So you got to do a lot of extra admin work.
Absolutely.
Extra admin work, and you've got to be disciplined about that admin work. When you're in a 9 to 5 job, you don't worry about taxes because it gets taken away from you before it even hits your bank account.
And an entire department is doing that for you.
You don't have to worry about sales because another department's it's got you the clients, got you the work for them.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about operations or health and safety because there's another department that does that for you. So when you're in a 9 to 5 job, you're there just to do your job, get paid, come home, and then rinse and repeat. There's not a lot of stress. Whereas I find with a lot of my clients that are now business owners that have started their own business, they're finding they're struggling with the extra admin. I got to do my GST returns. I got to do my PAYE. I need to chase up clients' debts. I need to make sure I have enough stock.
Right.
I have to deal with external suppliers. All of these extra headaches.
And those headaches are like you're thinking about them, but your mind is so sad because you're like, I haven't even made a sale today.
You haven't made a sale
But
today.
you're focusing on all the things that will be a return of investment long term, but you're just you have to deal with the emotions of not making a sale on that day. Yeah.
And from my personal experience, I send out loads of quotes, loads of emails, and you may only get one back, And as a new business owner, you got to learn to handle that. You got to learn to handle the rejection. And a lot of people that come out of 9 to 5, they've never experienced that.
Yeah.
They haven't experienced sending out a quote and having someone come back and say, "Oh, you're way too expensive. Oh, I'm not going to go with you." Those are the things that as a business owner you need to learn to handle and deal with, because it's the reality of a new business. Because especially if you're a new business, you don't have a brand out there, you don't have a name out there, so you got to work really, really hard over the first 6-12 months,
Right.
to establish yourself.
Right. And you might not even make money in that first 6 to 12 months,
Yeah.
right?
And so I tell my clients, you must have 6 months of savings of all your bills, minimum 6 months.
Mm.
I had 6 months of savings when I started my accounting practice, and I also had another 6 months of savings that I could draw down with the
Mm.
bank.
Mm.
So I had 12 months of savings. A lot of that is almost gone
Mm. Mm.
for the first 6 months. Even though I've got clients, even though I'm making money, it's still quite a grind. I didn't actually make a decent amount of money until sort of month 9,
Mm.
month 8. So how do you survive those 6, 7, 8
Exactly.
months with all the bills coming in without having savings, without having an overdraft
Yeah.
facility? So a lot of my clients, I tell them, if you're starting a business, make sure you have 6 to 12 months of
Mm.
savings, because it just takes you that long for people to realize who you are, what are you doing, what value can you add, why should I move to you, why should I move my business to you? So
Exactly.
it takes time to
Yeah.
get that established. Once you have that established, then it's a lot easier. And I've
Yeah.
found that with my business, month 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, it's a lot easier than it was in month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because even getting your website up running, getting your printed information, that takes 3 months to get yourself. So, and that's part of running a business. So
Absolutely.
if you want to leave your 9 to 5 job, make sure you have enough savings, because
Yeah.
from my personal experience with some of my clients, it's caused a lot of headache and heartache with relationships where you haven't put aside the savings that you need to help you establish business.
And like, just drawing back on what you said, 6 to 12 months is not a long time.
Yep.
That's very short. A year can fly by very quickly.
Very
So
quickly.
you're also putting yourself in the mental position to prove you
Yep.
to yourself if you're going to wake up. Because if you don't wake up and work, you don't get paid.
Yep.
That's a whole different struggle
Whole
on
different
its own.
Yeah, and I do that to myself. I say, look, if you don't get up at 6 in the morning and you don't send out emails, you don't make phone calls, you don't meet people, don't network, then you don't have food on the table. And that's a business owner mindset, not a 9 to 5 mindset. You don't turn up to work 9 to 5. You get sick leave, you get annual leave, you
Yeah.
can get covered. But if in a business, if you don't get up and work, well, you don't get paid, and you don't get food on the table. So it's a very, I don't want to scare people, but
Yeah.
it's very important that you understand 95% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years.
Exactly. And that's why I'm glad you're sharing a lot of this, because I feel like owning a business and being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of glamorization about it on the internet right now. Like they're like, oh, you should go be your own boss. It's like, yes, there is freedom and positive aspects in it, but it's not like that 90% of the time.
Exactly. 95% of the time, small businesses fail in the first 5 years. And I know why they fail. Because it takes a long time to get established. So cash flow is an issue for the first 2 years. So if you don't have enough cash flow, and you don't have a proper business plan for that first 5 years. Because if you had a business plan, you will know that, hey, I think I'm going to make only this much in year 1, this much in year 2. And then branding and marketing, it's for the first 5 years, no one knows who you are.
Exactly.
It takes, my dad said, for businesses to succeed, that he's experienced, is that it takes 3 years to make a profit. 3 years to make a profit. Just think about that. 3 years to earn the same amount of money as when you
Do
were
you
in
have
9
the
to
patience
5.
for 3 years?
3 years.
Yeah.
And that's the same as a lot of my clients. I see them right now, and year 1 is not going to be a profit. Year 2 is maybe break even. And maybe year 3 will start making money.
See, but like you telling me that, if I was someone, going to jump, or if I'm imagining my younger self before jumping into business, that would be helpful for me, because then I would set my expectations differently. When I was younger, going into business, I think, oh, I'm going to make 100 sales in the first month. We're going to deliver $40,000 by month 6. And then those expectations kind of hurt me, because I set the expectations that way because I wasn't aware of, these kind of like timelines. So it's very helpful when you share those things with people. Yeah.
And it's from my personal experience and what I see in my clients. It's very hard for the first 2-3 years. Very hard. Maybe only 5% of businesses do really well in those first 5 years.
Yeah.
95% don't. So there's a lot of challenges. From but there's also a lot of pros as well, which
Yeah, let's talk about the pros. Let's
yeah, definitely some pros.
what are the things that you've been enjoying since leaving 9 to 5
Yeah.
and going to 80-hour weeks now?
80 hours, yeah. I think I'm doing 70 to 80 hours a week,
Yeah,
7 days a week.
that's
It's
crazy.
crazy. And I'm earning probably a fraction of what I was earning
Yeah.
when I was in 9 to 5.
Mm,
When I was in 9 to 5, I was earning $170,000, doing maybe 30 hours a week,
that is so trippy.
40 hours a week, maybe, if I worked really hard.
Yeah.
Don't tell my boss, okay? $170,000, 9 to 5. For me, it was quite an easy gig to do. Yeah. So if you think about that, running my business, I didn't make any money for the first 8, 9 months. So they become from here to down here.
Yeah.
So there have to be pros, right?
Yes. Yeah, there. I mean, yeah, you left 170K for 30 hours.
Yeah, there are some pros, okay? And the pros are that I have my own independence. I can choose my hours.
Mm.
I can choose my own clients. I can work 5 hours on a Monday and then take the rest of Tuesday off. If Monday in Auckland is always the best weather day, right? So I try and work a lot on the weekend so I can give myself half a day on Monday if the weather is nice. So it's a lot of independence. I can choose my own time. And with my baby born now, that was the whole idea as well. I can look after the baby, do my client works, put baby down, and then go and do more work with clients. And I can help my wife out with daycare because she can go and do her things. I can look after the baby. So that was one of the major factors of me running my own business, was
Right.
trying to give my wife and myself independence so that I can look after them. Because I want to grow up with my baby girl. I want to be there for her first day of school. I want to take her to daycare. I
Yeah.
want to pick her up from daycare. I want to be able to do all of these fun things with my baby girl. And a 9 to 5 job, it's a bit difficult.
And more pressure,
Yeah.
because if you call your boss, like, you can't just leave.
Can't just leave. No.
Yeah.
And so I wanted that independence for family foremost, to be able to go and do stuff with my kid, my wife, because then I can do work at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I can do work at 3 and 4 in the morning. I can do 10, 20 hours on a weekend if I have to take Monday, Tuesday off to be with my daughter and my wife. So that was one of the major reasons. One of the biggest pros of being a business owner, and a lot of my clients will tell you exactly the same thing. It's independence. You can choose your hours. You can choose your clients. You
Exactly.
can choose your work. You can choose, I don't like this client, I'll go somewhere else, and so that's one of the biggest pros of being in business. I think the second thing is that, for me personally, I've been able to use all my 9 to 5 experience for 22 years, and now I can help other people with my skills and with my knowledge. For example, helping people with their tax returns, helping people with their business plans, helping people that are just starting out in business about how to forecast. That is really rewarding for me. Instead of me just making my boss another $100 million that year,
Yes.
instead of making my boss make another 20 million of profit, instead of me making this manager here make another $1 million bonus, that's the 9 to 5. All you're doing is making your bosses rich.
Yeah.
Or 9 to 5, just being realistic, all you're doing is making other people rich when you're 9 to 5. You're not making yourself rich, not just in money, but in
Like purpose.
purpose. That sense of giving back to the community.
Yeah.
And you're 9 to 5, all you're doing is making your boss rich, his boss rich, the shareholders rich. Yeah. You're not providing, you don't give that sense of giving back. And when you're a business owner, especially for me, I find, like, I helped a single mum with her tax returns because she was behind, she was working and forgot about her tax returns. So for me to try and help her, I helped her sort out her tax returns. She's filed it. She actually got a refund. So
Nice.
not all are like that, but for me that was more of a sense of achievement to help people, instead of making my boss
A lot richer.
buy another Mercedes,
Yeah, exactly.
buy another batch in Omaha.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gonna get another house in Queenstown.
I totally get where you're coming from. I think one thing I can relate to with you is the freedom and being able to rearrange your schedule. And like you said, you know, when you're at a corporate job or 9 to 5, you can't just call and be like, I gotta leave and pick up my kid. They're like, they're gonna count. HR's gonna count on your days where you've called in half, and then you feel the judgment of everyone around you, like, oh damn it. But having, I agree, that is that freedom
That's the number
to
one
to
pro.
adjust. Yeah.
Number one pro.
That over money for me as well. Yeah.
Money, definitely. Well, yeah. On classic point, you know.
Yeah.
Case in point, you know.
And it's also wholesome to know that you're working on projects that you want to know that you can help someone. And it makes you feel good about yourself. You're creating community, and connections like that last for a long time.
That's a
and
good.
It's so valuable.
Yeah, that's a good point. You make connections. Like a lot of my clients, they become really close friends. One of my clients, a few of them have been diagnosed with illnesses, and so not only have I helped them with their boring taxes and financial situation, but I've helped them talk about situations that have happened to them. I've experienced family members with cancer, and so I've built a real deep connection with a lot of my clients, which I also love as well, because it's not just about compliance and making sure I ID happy, but it's also about understanding people's lives and things happen outside of work. And I've made some really, really, really close friends. Some of my clients are really, really close friends now of mine. And so, yeah, another pro, which in a 9 to 5 situation, you just go to work.
Exactly.
You pretend to be friends of your colleagues and you go home, right?
What's the latest tea in the office and whatnot?
What's the scandal? What's the latest gossip?
That's amazing. And I'm going to ask a cheeky question.
Sure.
I want to leave my 9 to 5 job today and I want to start my business tomorrow. What are 3 top priority things someone should consider when making that decision?
Before we go into that, Hana,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to answer 3 questions for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So whenever someone says to me, I want to start a business and I want to go into business, I say to them, well, there's 3 things you need to do. If I had a circle, I could draw it for you, but we'll try and visualize it.
Okay, yeah.
The first question is this business, are you good at it? Question number 1, are you good at it? Question number 2 is, do you have a passion for this business? And then question number 3 is, can you make money out of this business? So before you do anything, I want you to answer those 3 questions. Are you good at it? Or can you get skills for it? Number 2, do you have a passion for it? Does it want, if you have to get up at 6 in the morning, does this business give you that passion, give you that heart to get up at 6 in the morning? And then 3, most importantly, you got to pay your bills. So it's got to make money, right?
Yeah.
So you need to answer the question. So for my business, let's do it for my business. Am I good at accounting? Yes, I've been doing accounting for 22 years. I've got qualifications, I've got experience, I've got a lot of knowledge and skills. So yes, question number 1, tick. Do I have a passion for finance and accounting? Yes. Number 2, my grandparent, my grandfather, my family, they all talk about business. I love working with numbers. I have a massive passion for businesses. You know, I read the business section a lot every day. When I was younger, I used to buy the Herald and grab the business section of the Herald, and my friends used to laugh at me, you know, when I was in high school. I used to love reading a section. I love reading about Fletcher's slightly awkward situation at the moment. And so so I have a passion for it. And then number 3 is, can I make money of it? Well, that's the goal. So before you start a business, those are the 3 things to ask. And going back to your original question, what are the 3 things? I call it ABC. So A, get good advice. Get an accountant, get an advisor, get a consultant.
See, what about people who don't believe in that stuff?
And yes,
you know, they're like, oh, I'm not going to pay $5,000 to consult with this lawyer or this accountant. I can Google it. What do you think about that?
100%.
Yeah.
And you can do that. And that's fine. And a lot of people like to wing it.
Yeah.
And it works for people. And sometimes it doesn't work for people. So in my experience, it doesn't work for people to wing it. So A, get advice. And there's lots of free advice, Hana. There's Citizens Advice Bureau. Every single accountant, like myself, gives free 1-hour advice at the start of your journey. There's a lot of government support for you. There's a lot of business trusts. So you don't have to spend $5,000
Yeah.
to get advice at the start, and try and maximize all of that free advice.
So being, I guess, researching your options around resources you can
For
explore.
free, yeah. And there's a lot of help out there, a lot of government agencies that help you at the start, and
Yeah.
it doesn't cost you a lot of money. It doesn't cost you any money. A
Awesome.
lot of accountants give you free initial advice. Even lawyers, instead of charging you $900 for the first hour, some of them actually give you that first 15 minutes for free. So try and find support that doesn't cost you money, and there's a lot out there.
Okay.
Citizens Advice Bureau have a lawyer that a lot of them have a lawyer that turns up every Wednesday to give you free advice.
Nice.
Free advice. And there's a lot of accountants out there like myself give you free advice for the first.
So this would be like the hustle aspect of it, right?
Hustle, man. You got to hustle, you know. You makes everything, you know. Especially in that first 6 months when money isn't flowing, man. You got
Yeah.
to hustle and just find ways to maximize your, you know, your cash flow and minimize the expenses.
Yeah.
So, always get advice and support, because you don't know everything, right?
Exactly.
You don't know that. A secret I'm going to tell everyone: I wanted to import vapes, which is really bad, really, really bad. But I didn't realize.
We were just talking about purpose and meaning for life. No, I'm just kidding.
There's so much. This was like 10 years ago. Before I knew it was bad. Disclaimer.
Before the science came
Before
out.
the science came out. So in London, when I was living in London in the early 2010s, vapes had just come up. The rave, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to import them into New Zealand, but no one knew what the regulations were. But had I imported them into New Zealand, there was actually a lot of law, health and safety, a lot of food safety issues. So it would have cost me a lot of money to bring them in, and it would have been expensive and costly. And so having that advice would have probably
Saved you.
saved
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
That's a good example of what I was planning to do, being a, you know, side hustle as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Advice. And then B, have a business plan. Always have a business plan. Again, a lot of people, you say, Hannah, will say, I don't need a business plan.
I've heard that like advice before. Like people have different perspectives on it. Some say I don't need to draw up a business plan. I'm making these sales already.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Elon Musk doesn't believe in business plans, business cases. What does that tell you? You know?
I don't know. I only know him as like a person on Twitter who changed Twitter to X. But if he doesn't have a business plan, maybe he is.
He doesn't believe in them.
So he's just like a
He's
freelance
just really-
goer.
yeah. But
Yeah.
we're not as lucky as Elon Musk to have all the resources to make
loan
mistakes.
$1 million from our parents, right?
Yeah, we can't make $1 billion mistake.
Yeah,
You
true, true.
So business case is really good. So people always ask me, well, why do you need a business case? Well, if you build a house, do you want to have a plan? Or if you want to build a road or build a city, is it best to have a plan? Because if you don't have a plan, the house will be
Weak foundations.
non-compliant, leaky roof.
Exactly.
And so having a plan in place just helps put those steps in place that you need.
Yeah.
And it's the same as your business. A business plan is there just to have like a guide for you to go back. A good example for my business plan is that sometimes I forget what my marketing strategy was 3 years ago. Having that business plan there, I go back to it. So I review my business plan every month. Just go back and go, oh, what did I have to say? Yes, that's right. My plan was to send out 10 emails every Monday. Okay, my marketing plan was to do 10 calls. So that's what a business plan helps you with. The other thing with a business plan is it has the financials in there, because when you put it on paper, if you take it out of your head and put your financials on paper, then you realize, actually,
should I do
Should I
this?
do that?
Yeah, yeah.
is it worth it? Am I going to make money? The other thing that's really important, along with the financials of the business plan, is your competitor analysis and market
Right.
analysis.
Right.
So you really want to, like, should you start a business that has so many competitors and there's so many competitors out there. It's important for you to understand them, what they're doing, so that you can have a point of difference. A business plan helps you identify your competitors, and then you say to yourself, well, why would someone come to me instead of that competitor?
Yeah.
Why would someone choose me over that competitor? So a business plan helps you conceptualize these sorts of things. It's a really important document, and I stress that everyone should do it. it does take a long time, and
Yep.
it can be quite exhausting.
Mm.
So those are some of the reasons why you should have a business plan. The other reason why is that if you want to go get an investor or a
Exactly.
bank
They're all going to
mortgage,
ask for it. Yeah.
a bank loan or an overdraft facility or an investor, what do they think they ask you for? A
That business
business plan.
plan. And
Business
the analyst teams and their financial teams are very good at like
Yep.
reading through that and finding
The holes.
the whole thing, the holes,
Yep.
if you rushed through
Yep.
it or if you actually sat down and thought about it.
Yep. So
And those
that's
people are
it.
getting paid like 200K
Yeah,
plus.
exactly. So they've got 9 to 5 jobs to look at
Yeah.
your business plan, right? That's their 9 to 5 jobs to look at your business plan.
Yeah.
So that's the other factor that people forget when they say, "Oh, I don't need a business plan," and then 6 months down the line they go, "Oh, I need to apply for a loan." They want a business plan.
Yeah,
Oh, so
exactly.
now you need a business plan.
Because you need the money to make things
Yeah,
happen, but
yeah,
you haven't planned that out
yeah.
properly.
So and then the
Yeah.
third part is C, the ABC, advice, business plan, and commit. Be committed. Be committed for your business. Yeah, you can't. I don't like being half in, half out. If you're going to be in business, you got to be fully
Full on it.
committed.
Yeah.
Fully committed, because your family. My daughter relies on my business to pay for her nappies, to put her food on the table. My wife relies on me to be to bring in enough money to pay for our bills and pay for the mortgage. So you've got to be committed. I see too many businesses where people are not committed. A good example is that was my personal experience. These are all my personal experience. I started an online clothing business several years ago, and I wasn't committed. So 1 month I'd do hard out sales, smashed it, the advertising, get new stock, do promoting, and it was really good. And then the next month, I wasn't committed. So sales would fall down, and then the next month, I've got to start up again. And it's just, I wasn't fully committed. And I was spending a lot of money and ended up losing a lot of money on that online business.
Yeah.
Probably lost about maybe $40,000 lost. I bought it for 15. I only sold it for $3,000, and I spent thousands of stock and a lot of time and effort into this business where I wasn't fully committed. So that's why I think those are the three things that I'll tell everyone to be ABC.
Yeah.
Get advice, have a business plan, have a plan, and just make sure you're committed, because your family relies on it, right?
Yeah, and I really like what you said about getting advice, and you don't know anything. And I think those are the kind of people who thrive in business, who understand they don't know everything, instead of the ones who come and think, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. Don't tell me. I already Googled it. I saw it on a PDF article that was released in 2001." So having a mixture of humility but confidence, and backing that up with a bit of with commitment is really a good kind of like recipe to get you started into business. But I feel like that humility to accept help and advice is really a key factor in being successful in business.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? In my 22 years of corporate experience, all the successful bosses, managers, entrepreneurs, they spend thousands of hours and dollars on advice. They spend a ton load of money on getting consultants, getting legal advice. They spend a lot of effort making sure they have a team around them that helps them make those decisions. And that's the one thing I've learned from a lot of these corporate guys in the 22 years I've been in corporate, is that they have a lot of support network. They spend a lot of time on getting good people around them, getting good advice.
Yeah.
They don't have that humility. They don't have that pride thing, because they know if they screw it up, it's going to cost them in the
So
long,
much.
so much.
Exactly.
You know?
They understand the risk,
They
right?
understand the risk.
Yeah.
They know that I need to spend this money here to avoid me having problems down the line. They understand that. And they know they spend a lot of time and effort. And I think as business owners, we need to do that as well. Just be mindful that we don't know everything. I don't know everything about HR. I don't know everything about law.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know everything about even taxes and some of the accounting things that I have. I still have mentors that I go to. I still have the institute that I go and get advice for. I go and do a lot of courses as well, because it's always changing as well. That's the other
Yes.
thing.
Yeah. You got to keep up,
Yeah, it's
eh?
always changing as well. Like if you're a developer that's building in an area, do you just go and buy the land? No, you got to go and get consultants, check the land, get the geotech, check the zoning, check the sales in the area. What's the point of building a $9 million home, when everything around there is like $500,000? So you
Exactly.
have to get consultants for that. You know, you can't do it all on your own.
Exactly.
If you're doing that stuff all on your own, then
Yeah.
you're not focusing on growing your business. That's the other thing that I find with people that try and do everything on their own.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
clients like that now, right now. They just want to do everything.
Yeah.
They want to do accounting, they want to do law, they
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
do HR. And yet when I say to them, how's your sales going? Oh, I haven't really been focusing on that.
Mm, mm.
Oh, what do you mean? Because, oh, I've been trying to work on my logo. I was like, but your business is to do A.
Yes.
You know, that's your experience, that's your qualifications. Spend your time on A,
Yeah.
because spending time on doing a logo, spending time doing other things that are not generating you income, it's costly. And that's why I tell a lot of my clients, just for accounting and outsourcing, just accounting and bookkeeping, just outsource that out, because that's not adding massive value to your business, right? You're there to go and generate income, sales, get the work in the door, meet clients, network. That's the fun stuff.
Exactly.
And so yeah, it's educating some of my clients to say, hey, you can't do everything on your own, especially when I see your sales are going down. So yeah.
That's when it's best to seek help. I absolutely agree with you. You're Samoan.
Yes.
You understand the cultural impacts that affect our families financially. What's your advice towards people on balancing that cultural financial responsibility and then living in the Western world of having to pay bills, having to pay the rent, the mortgage, putting food on the table? What would be your advice to, Pacific Islanders who face hardship in that area?
That's a very, very, very tough question, and a very open-ended. It can be and for me, when I was growing up, my parents were sort of mixed, not really fully into the liabilities, but a little bit out. My parents understood that when they moved to New Zealand, they had to become New Zealanders. They had to become Kiwis. They had to become westernized. My parents, they realized that very early on.
Yeah.
That to survive in New Zealand, you have to try and live like a New Zealander.
And I think a lot of the first generation Samoans who moved here did adapt that mindset as well. Yeah.
And I think that's the mindset that my parents took on very, very, very early on. I never went to church when growing up. Very, very, very rarely did we have a lot of whalawalas that we were involved with. But they were still there. We still helped as much as we can. But I think it's I find the ones that, because a lot of my cousins didn't like that, that we were too westernized, too Kiwinized, so I think it's a mindset that if you've moved to New Zealand, you have to try and adapt to the New Zealand ways. And New Zealand ways is really expensive to live in New Zealand. It's like the cost of living here is very hard, very expensive. In Samoa, you can grow a lot of vegetables, you can live off the land, and it's not too difficult cost of living wise. But when you move to New Zealand, oh man, the rates, bills, the rent, the petrol going up, and so you have to adjust yourself to say, sad to say, but you got to say no sometimes. It's hard to tell your family, look, I can't afford to pay for this at this moment in time. I think that's the first thing I'd say to people before you go and get the loan, before you advance on the credit card, is to say, look, at this moment, I can't help you out at this moment. And it's a very tough thing to say. And I do it a lot with a lot of ladies that I get asked to attend to. I say, well, I don't have the money at the moment. I just started my business.
Yeah.
Or in the past where I've said, look, it's because what I see is that if I give some of my family or some of my friends some assistance, I end up seeing them go to Hawaii or Fiji the next month. So it's like, okay,
with some new clothes and some nice lunches.
So you're prioritizing certain things, but I think I think all our Pacifica families should really have some insurance, some funeral insurance. I can't stress that enough with a lot of my Pacifica families, Pacifica clients, is to have funeral insurance, because that's probably the biggest expense whālawe wise for our family, because
The funerals.
we have to celebrate life and death with our family members. And so I completely understand that we need to give and be thoughtful to our family members who have passed away. So having funeral insurance is not that expensive, but you can get a lot of cover for that to avoid that stress. Because we know that whālawe is coming around the corner with all our family, with all our inga, people in Samoa, people in Auckland and across the country. So I think have some funeral insurance is the minimum. My advice to people to have funeral insurance. The other thing that a second piece of advice for people in that cultural space that needs to provide for whālawe is that my mum and her family have a committee where a lot of them, about 20 of them, meet up every quarter.
That's my mum's family too. And then everyone does donations into a savings account. Yeah.
So it's like 50, maybe 50 this quarter, or maybe 200 another quarter.
Yeah.
And so that over a long period of time, over 20 members, gets put into a fund. My mum is the treasurer, of course. And so that money is put aside so that when a family member passes away, they can dip into that fund and it gets paid out to help with that whālawe. It avoids that 20 members going to get a shark loan
with high interest,
advance on a credit card, and so it alleviates a lot of that stress, and it's really worked really well for my mum and her family. They've been doing it for 30-40 years, so as long as I can remember, they've had this fund, and it's built up over time that it avoids that whālawe. And so that it's another method, maybe another process that our people can do to try and meet with your family, try and discuss, hey, we're just going to put some money aside.
Yeah.
Because putting aside $20 a week is much easier than getting a $1,000 shark loan.
Exactly.
In 12 months down the line, because that shark loan becomes 2,000, becomes 3,000 if you don't pay it off quickly. So my advice to our people is to try and get a family committee, open up a bank account, and everyone puts money in. It's much easier to put $5 a week every week
than it is to just go out and get a loan and I don't know, damage your name even further. And I like what you said, the first one, which was saying no, because I feel like it's such an easy solution when you've got kids to pay for, bills to pay for, and you genuinely can't give at that time. Saying no is, I think it might be hard for a lot of Samoans and Pacific people, because we always have to face the judgment true, so it's not like we don't have kids as well, why can't you contribute this way? So I think that's something that takes practice, I guess, saying no. But it's a very strong skill. I wouldn't say it's a skill actually that you learn if you're someone who's constantly said yes, or who feels that the only obligation that you should be serving is your family. But there's times that you have to say no.
There's times you're gonna have to say, look, I need to pay some bills for my family, I need to put food on the table. I need to buy nappies is not cheap, and so you gotta learn to say no.
But I feel like that situation only happens when it's last minute, and when you don't have an insurance plan in place, when you don't have a family committee who comes together to put aside a savings. So you only have to get to a point where you're in a pressurized position when there's no plan. So having those plans in place is super important.
And just say no. I mean, Ainga will always come back anyway,
Yep, through heaven and hell.
No, you can say no, but with friends, if you say no, you may not see them for a year, right?
Exactly, but family is always. And one last question, Peter. What is the best piece of financial advice you've ever received in your life?
Best financial advice. Education. If you want to do well financially, then get educated. And that could be any open-ended sort of response. So if you're at school, work hard at school, get educated. If you're an adult, go and study. I've just finished my real estate course. I've started a mortgage brokering course. I'm always studying. I'm always learning, because I'm always trying to find ways to try and increase my financial position. by learning and educating myself. So I'm always trying to learn. So if you want to improve your financial situation, the quick answer is education. Quick answer, education. And it doesn't matter if you're 5, 15, or 55. You can still get education, still learn. You can still go back and study. My mum did a business certificate in her 50s. So there's no excuse for people not to go back and do some more courses. And my mum's she's been able to get more work and find jobs because she's gone back and studied. So there's no excuse. If you're young, look, we all have challenges and things that we need to sort out in life, and we always have laves, but you got to look after yourself and be educated. You know?
Absolutely.
Education, because it's a cycle, right? Remember this, it's a cycle. The better educated I am, the most likely I could earn a bit more. The more I can earn, the better I can provide for my family, health-wise, food-wise, education-wise.
Yep.
The better I can grow as a person, because I don't have to stress the finances. And then I think that's a cycle, right?
Yeah,
It's a cycle.
absolutely.
Your kids will grow up potentially in better schools. They've had lots of doctor's visits. They've been able to go and get healthcare, and then that cycle just rolls through to the next generation. See, I know people don't like that money is evil and all of that sort of stuff, but it gives you options to eat
It's a
better.
tool. It's a
Yeah,
tool.
it's a tool.
Yeah.
You know, instead of getting that takeaways, you may be able to get like a healthy, homemade meal, because we know it's more expensive, way more expensive to get a healthy meal.
Yeah.
To go to the doctor is not cheap, you know. To get health insurance is not cheap. So that needs a tool. That needs unfortunately, it needs money to be able to do these things. And so education is, you can be a TikTok star, you can be a singer, you can be a sports star.
Yeah.
But the safest option is to get a good education.
Absolutely.
The high percentage of you being able to get enough financial stability is to be educated.
Yeah. And for me personally, that's the best contribution you can give to society, is carrying on with that cycle that you're talking about. And when you grow humans who understand and who are educated, they won't go out there and be a menace to everyone or hurt people who don't deserve it because they don't know better. So it's definitely a good method. Yeah.
Education, and like there's so many options out there for you to get educated. Again, a lot of free courses.
Absolutely.
A lot of support from the government. There's student loans, so there's no reason why. And I've already done a few other stuff on top of so I'm always learning, always studying. I love to learn, because I feel like when I'm learning, I'm bettering myself. I'm gaining knowledge that I could help my family going forward.
Amazing.
So hopefully Maggie, my daughter, will take that on board.
I'm sure she will. I'm honestly sure she will. Thank you so much,
worries.
Peter, for joining us on Breaking
Thank you for having me
Waves.
on.
Won't be the last time you'll be coming on again.
Happy to join again.
But any last words for our audience?
No, just keep the faith. Keep going. Never give up. Never ever give up. Things can be tough. Things can go wrong, but just never give up. Have a plan. Get some advice, and just don't be afraid to give it a go. I'd love to show you a video of life and what it means. But if this is where we all want to be, right? We want to be up here doing well. A lot of us are down here, right? So we need to work out a plan to try and get there, right? And so to get that plan, you need to get some help, you need to get education, you need to find ways to get up here. And that just means you have to go and do that, make that effort, and never give up, and always be good to your parents.
Be good to your parents, guys. Thank you so much, Peter Lee. If you want to speak with him, DM us and we'll send you his details. We'll also attach his details to this video. Make sure to like, subscribe to our YouTube. We're on Instagram and TikTok. And if you enjoy more of this content, please leave a comment and let us know what you guys want to hear next. Thank you. Good afternoon.